যারা লাইভ করছি। Take a vertical one. You're a good actor. Come over it. Come here. See the movie. See the trailer. See the by myself. Wait for na. Iduga. Selfie. Picture.
Done.
Sir, समोर दे. One second, hold on. One second, sir. One second. Okay. Thanks, sir.
Please, can you say? Thank you. Yeah, sure. Sir, please. Huh? Yeah. Do you want to give me your phone? Yes, I'll give it to you. Thank you so much. Very excited to watch the
Straight here लोपादे पड़े. हमारे देखिए. ऐसे. ओए. सुप्रतीम. विशो. ये तो लोग. सुप्रतीम के लिए तो ना. नहीं ना फोन में. अरे इलाके. জিতু একটু এদিকে তাকাও.
Ricardo D'Alonso,
I tried.
centenary of the Satyajit is such a big takeaway, and you have graced this event. We are also thrilled and excited. Just say what your point of view, what's your take on this, sir?
Well, it was 100 years last year, by the way.
Yeah.
101st year.
Yeah.
So anyway, the important thing is that as far as Satyajit Ray is concerned, he created many wonderful films. But his position in the Indian cinema essentially is that of the singular master, who transformed Indian cinema from what it was before him. And that transformation was very important because not only did it change the character and the things of the Indian cinema, it may not have touched the commercial type of Indian cinema, but it certainly made a huge difference to the perception of young filmmakers who were making films from then until now. And also it had another kind of impact which was very important, which was because of him, the Film and Television Institute came into being. Because when the Film and Television Institute of India came into being, it meant that people who came to the film industry would actually be properly trained. Like, you know, when you study, you want to become a doctor, you have to learn medicine. And you have to have a college at the university. Similarly, the FTII was designed to train people, young people, to become filmmakers. Because it taught photography, it taught many things. And then his contribution is not just him. Also Shubrata Mitra, his cameraman, because he set up the camera department in a way that shows how to film even with the minimum amount of lighting. So it was quite extraordinary what he did. There was also Bansi Chandragupta for production design, who were part of Satyajit Ray's team. You know, all these people together contributed to what we today have the opportunity to learn through the FTI. Thank you.
सर आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे इस लोकेशन के बारे में? सत्यजीत रे सर का बर्थ एनिवर्सरी साथ ही उनका जो स्टैचू यहाँ पर बनाया गया सर, कितना प्राउड मोमेंट है सिनेमा के लिए?
देखिए, सत्यजीत रे की जो जन्म शताब्दी का वर्ष का जो है 101वां है, और उसमें हमने 3 दिन का फिल्म फेस्टिवल रखा है, न केवल मुंबई में बल्कि देश के अन्य शहरों में भी उनकी जो उल्लेखनीय फिल्में हैं उनकी हम स्क्रीनिंग करेंगे, फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट करेंगे हम, और जिसमें कि पात्र पंचाली भी जो कि ऑस्कर अवार्डेड फिल्म थी वो भी रहेगी। मुंबई के अलावा पुणे, दिल्ली, कोलकाता, बेंगलुरु, चेन्नई सभी जगह हमने स्क्रीनिंग्स रखी है 3 दिनों में। एक प्रदर्शनी यहाँ रखी गई है जिसका उद्घाटन आज श्याम बेनेगल साहब ने किया, और जिसमें आप देख सकते हैं कि उनके जीवन के विभिन्न पहलुओं के बारे में दर्शाया गया है। उनके बचपन से लेके कैसे उन्होंने जो टैलेंट है उसको आइडेंटिफाई किया, उसको नर्चर किया, और कैसे सिनेमा के उस दौरान, उस काल के दौरान जब टेक्नोलॉजी इतनी ज़्यादा अपडेटेड या कंडीशन नहीं थी, उस दौरान उन्होंने एक बहुत ही मीनिंगफुल सिनेमा किया जिसको ना केवल भारत में बल्कि वर्ष भर में उसको एक्नॉलेज किया गया, सराहा गया उनको। और उनका एक स्टैचू है जो कि काफ़ी जीवंत है, आपने देखा होगा बिल्कुल। लोगों ने कहा कि ये कई और जो म्यूजियम है देश के और कोनों में, देश के भी और कई कोनों में, उनसे भी काफ़ी बेहतर उभर के आया है ये। तो इस पर काफ़ी मेहनत की गई, इसके बारे में काफ़ी चर्चा की गई, और आप देख सकते हैं उसका नमूना आपके सामने है, काफ़ी जीवंत ये एक स्टैचू है। इसके प्रदर्शनी में आपको बहुत सारी चीज़ें आप देखने मिलें, कैसे उनका बचपन, पालन पोषण, उनका करियर की शुरुआत, कैसे उनकी फिल्मों में जो कास्टिंग होती थी वो बहुत ज़्यादा ट्रेंड उस तरीके के एक्टर एक्ट्रेसेस नहीं लेते थे, वो उसको नर्चर करते थे, टैलेंट को उसको आइडेंटिफाई करते थे और जैसा चाहते थे उनसे डिलीवर करवाते थे। तो निश्चित तौर पे एक महान फिल्मकार थे जिसको इस 3 दिन के फेस्टिवल के दौरान हम लोगों के सामने उनका जो महान कार्य है उसको लोगों के सामने रखेंगे ताकि वो लोग उससे लाभान्वित हो सकें।
Sir, what message you would like to convey to the young filmmakers who are watching you?
Watch Satyajit Ray's films. You'll learn more than if you go to film school. Thank you. Unfortunately,
You're talking about the film which you're talking about the film which is screening now. Sir has yet not seen it.
I have not seen it.
No, I'm not speaking about that actually. I'm asking is this film is basically the making of Patni Panchali, probably people know. And you know the casting, what the Kamal sir has done is basically because he has a lot of reflections of Satyajit Ray sir. So what is the story behind that?
They wouldn't know, they're not the filmmakers.
No, I have not understood that. No, I haven't understood your question.
No, she's talking about this film, that why the casting was done, etc.
Yes, why the
etc.
casting was done.
You've not seen the film, so
I have not seen the film, so I cannot comment on it. Thank you.
Sir, please come for a cup of tea, please.
okay, fine.
Look at exactly like that. Now you should keep
first-class critic. I remember seeing an article where everyone, primarily Bombay, was asked which is the film that influenced you most. So most of them came up with foreign films, some Indian films. Well, you mentioned Bollywood. That was one single film.
सर सबसे पहले आपसे जानना चाहूँगा शाम बेनेगल जिस मूवी से खुद से आपको इतना अप्रिसिएशन मिला है कितना प्राउड फील हो रहा है सर
Overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. And Shyamji, like a legend throughout India, Shyamji legend. He has given this statement. So मुझे अच्छा क्या अच्छा से बेहतर जो होता है ना वो वर्ड अभी तक डिक्शनरी में नहीं है जो मैं एक्सप्रेस करना चाहता हूँ तो मेरा मुंह से पता चल रहा है उन्होंने बोल के गया तो इट मीन लॉट्स
Working with Jitu, fantastic. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, I don't believe in any god or any kind of. He does, but I don't, or any miracle. But it was always there's a word called doppelganger, which means people say that there are few, I think 6 people all over the world who look exactly the same. Now, purely accidentally, I met him, that too in a rally on the street. And I don't watch television, he used to work in television. So, and he was also a first-class cricketer before. Second division cricketer. So, I kind of, but he, with his hair and all that, looked different. There's something I felt that there was in his features. And he was obviously wear, the kind of clothes which young boys wear. So I wasn't very sure. Then I asked someone, who is this? There were some people from the film fraternity, and they said he's an actor. I said, oh, actor, fantastic. But then I was a little apprehensive because you see in television, you're forced to thoda overacting, over the top kind of hota hai na. So I went back and I saw his some of the episodes, Googled. I wasn't entirely convinced because the acting there was very different, the character was very different. And he's generally, he's sitting here so seriously, but he's always making fun and a kind of a fun person. So I wasn't sure, but then initially I thought I will use him as a younger version, the college, and use him from the side. Because thoda sa resemblance to tha, but I didn't know that that's why I got that inkling that he actually had features which were very close. So I asked him for to do a look test. When he came out of that makeup room, and I must mention, and you must mention, is this guy called Somnath Kundu, who's the only prosthetics artist in Calcutta, and we had to fly down and pay through our noses sometimes if we needed a role like that. People from Bombay. Now after this, I think the Bombay people will call him and do their assignments. So when he came out of that room, I was back to that door, but I saw the reaction of our assistant director, a girl, and it seemed like she had seen a ghost. So then I turned around and I too felt very uncanny. And there were times my wife said, I also said that she's feeling very, almost like a little scary with his clothes on and all. I would request you to see the film. So if you see the film, whatever little difference you see here will absolutely go. Mr. Benegal just said he's met Mr. Ray much earlier. Not at this age, but maybe say 10, 12 years later than this film. So he said this is remarkable, and coming from him, and he said Subrata Mitra, his own, his cameraman, was equally legendary. I mean, this Pote Pachali could not have happened because And Subrata Mitra was a 21-year-old, almost a boy, and he had never touched the film camera. So all that is there. And Subrata Babu also, Mr. Benegal has seen, and I don't know whether worked with him at all. And all of them, these people, he knows them very closely. Bomsi Chandragupta, the art director. So he said, you got that also very well. But what is really, I think, I'll send him our cinematographer, Suprati. And if you find the name a bit of a tongue twister, you can call him Joy. So Joy, what he has said, I'm not going to show it to him now. He said that the photography reminded me of Subrata Mitra, that style. And Subrata Mitra is one of the all-time best cameramen in the world. When he's clubbed with the Gunnar Fishers and the Sten Nygvist, 4 or 5 people who Kodak had in fact honored. Their Ariflex had gifted them cameras. So 5 cinematographers all over the world, and Subrata was one of them. So for me, if you ask me, it was like recreating history. First of all, Mr. Ray for me and for a lot of people, but people had started noting some influences and, in the dialogue writing, in the kind of shot I was taking, the subjects were perhaps different. Towards the end, even the subject, Soumitra acted, Soumitra Chatterjee, who was one of the main actors used by Mr. Ray, he commented after that film. Just before his passing away, I made a film with him. So he said that I find it very Manikda's kind of. So, which was bound to be, because I grew up when I was young. I used to subscribe, my mother made me a subscriber to a children's magazine, which Satyajit Babu edited. So he's, as you know, is a multifaceted talent. So at that time I didn't know who he was. When he used to do illustrations on the cover, which were fantastic. I used to first go through before reading, see all the illustrations, and they were in different styles. And they had a very different look. Later I realized that he was actually giving camera angles, low, top, over the shoulder, and stuff like that. And then of course his stories. First his Sleuth, the detective story, Feluda, the famous Feluda. That came as like a bomb to us. And there also his illustrations cover. Then Professor Shonku, which is science fantasy, I won't say science fiction, series of this, that. And then his short stories. By then I had seen Gopiga and Bhagabai, the children's film. Because we mostly saw English films. Children's films were not done yet. Very few. Both in Hindi, Bengali, I don't know about the other languages. So the first children's film in Bengali. So I was assured, okay, ठीक है, मेरे भाषा में भी होता है बच्चों के लिए film. I thought all children's films were made in English. And then of course, I saw the first Feluda film, which is Sonar Kelly. In fact, one person is here who's also a filmmaker in Bombay, advertising film, who's acted in that Sonar Kelly. He was a child. So then, of course, his films. So kind of grew up, and my universe is filled with Satyajit. So, but this was a very kind of difficult decision. It was very risky, still is. He's an icon and he's like a holy cow. Particularly for Bengalis, Rabindranath and Satyajit, you don't mess with. But in any way, I gathered some courage, and his son, Shodip Rai, Babuda, will be ever indebted. He's refused a lot of people from India, from abroad, who had approached him. Very big production company. And he had said no early. So I don't know. I mean, I just played lucky. He was very fond of me. For my first film, plus he's a student of the same school I went to, so I got the permission. And then I said, oh darn, now what? And then once I got Jitu, I realized we can pull it off. And we were all very excited. And we faced huge roadblocks, trouble, hostile weather, like they did. It took them 2.5 years to make this. and they were all newcomers, barring Vamshi. So that is why I finally managed to do it. Now it's for you and the audience to judge whether. The first review came from none other than Mr. Shyam Benegal, who is considered to be his protege. Mr. Rai also wrote very, favorably and he was full of praise for his first film, Ankur, and he dismissed the others of his times. So I reminded him, in his book, Our Films, Their Films, there's a chapter, I think 4.5 or something. So he said that look out for this guy, this young man. He's very good. So that is it.
Somehow depict that, from your end, kind of form such kind of personality.
ये आपका कहने का मतलब है जो इंडियन फिल्म का हस्ती है सत्यजीत रे. Many bright stars were born in our motherland. I think सत्यजीत रे is best of best. जब मैंने उनके ऊपर काम करना चालू किया, रौनिकदा ने मुझे बहुत सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन दिया, बहुत वीडियोस दिया. वो जब देखने चालू किया तब देखा जो सत्यजीत का जो रे का नाम से पत्थर पचली है, पत्थर पचली is not the end of his career. Beginning. It's the beginning of his career.
And it's not India ka god, it's world cinema ka god.
Yes, but it hasn't any confusion. He is not the glory of the India, but of the globe. It hasn't any confusion. Experience हो इस character को portray करने के लिए क्या बोलूँ तो
He really has worked tremendously. I got to know a few.
he's the right
things later
person to
on.
say this answer. I have done my job.
He's done but I'm not easily very happy, and I don't,
Yes.
after every shot, I don't say fantastic and all that.
He told me good, very good. He told me.
Then he went out and told the other actors that he said that. Onikda told you good.
Yes.
Because it's very rarely that I told them, you're good actors, you're getting paid, so it's your job to do. If it is not good, then I'll tell you.
When this film is also, kind of making of the original film, Pather Pachari. तो ये जब आप बना रहे थे, उस चीज़ में आपको बनाने की मंशा कैसे हुआ? When you kind of started making this film, what was the basic conviction and basic idea behind this?
See, strangely, my inspiration came from Ray and Pather. That he would, whatever, the first day we were at the show, they had the same experience. They went and saw all the kashkas had gone. There the cows had grazed on. Ours was exactly that. You would also remember. We were thinking of packing up because there was rain, and overnight we come and saw there was what interval diye se. We saw now. So we saw the same thing. But then what or the entire unit always said was, if this guy had pulled it off, this bunch of young boys, and those days outdoor, doing a full film outdoors was unheard of. Everyone told him, nahi, aisa nahi hota. Lighting, outdoor lighting was not available. So they did their night scenes, they had to do it in the city and replicate. And his art director, Bongshu Chandragupta, was again another brilliant guy. And he himself used to draw the sets. He did everything. Apart from Chaplin, no one has done everything in a cinema. The only extra thing Chaplin did was act. Because obviously there cannot be a second Chaplin. But I'm told by the actors who's acted with him that he was a very good actor also. And when he was young, he was very good looking also. So, but he never acted in his films or anyone else's. But my मनीषा को जो आप बात कर रहे हैं वो वहाँ से इंस्पिरेशन दिया. So we were replicating some of the shots and showing it is behind the scene, BTS of Pather Pachari. And that was not only in the shooting zone, but what happened in his personal life, his family, his friends. And then he went to England for training. He was in advertising. He's a commercial artist. So all that backstory, let's say. So replicating Pather Pachari, I wouldn't even dare. But we had to create some scenes. I think we pulled it off because in the trailer, there has to be some criticism. There has to be some breakbacks along with the bouquets. Someone said that, what the hell, I mean, he'll get into copyright problem because he's done it frame to frame. So it wasn't frame to frame, but I realized that we were close. Done?
अब मेरा व्यूअर्स को बोलना चाहते तो बंगाली में आई वुड प्रेफर टू से इन बंगाली
Also Hindi.
অলসো হিন্দি ওকে আমি প্রথমত জিতু আমার নাম প্রথমত আমি যে চরিত্রটি প্লে করছি সেটা হচ্ছে সত্যজিৎ রায়ের আদলে অপরাজিত রয় আপনারা ছবিটা দেখছেন আমি আমার দর্শককে বলবো ছবিটা এসে দেখুন এটা শুধুমাত্র ফিল্ম হিসেবে ফিল্ম তো ডেফিনেটলি এটা ডিড কি করে डॉक्यूमेंट যে कैसे ये फिल्म बनाया गया था हाँ मैंने कैसे रेस आपने कितना हर्डल्स कितना स्ट्रगल करके ये फिल्म बनाया था हम लोग तो सिर्फ फल को देखते गाछ कैसे पोतते हैं कैसे बड़ा होते हैं कैसे खाते वो तो हम लोगों को पता नहीं थी फल देखते थे फल तो अच्छा लगता है सबको खाने में वो कैसे हुआ इतना पेड़ इतना ऐसा बड़ा कैसे हुआ वो चैप्टर लेके ये फिल्म बनाया गया है और मैं थैंक यू मैंने अनिकदा को थैंक यू करना चाहूँगा कि वो मुझे ये मौका नहीं देता तो ये फिल्म मुझे तो ये फिल्म अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं आता तो थैंक यू अनिकदा वंस अगेन फॉर गिविंग मी दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी so that's it
He was the only one who could play. Not only look-wise, his mannerisms, he picked up pretty much on his own. I didn't have to instruct him to.
no, without you it would not have not been possible this is the only one
देखा ना है कि तुम डायरेक्टर है
thank you